The stars. Since the beginning of time, man has gazed in wonder at the night sky. Stars became the stuff of legends, home of the gods, and sometimes man's final resting place. It is no surprise then that ancient man built monuments dedicated to these celestial wonders.
When we look at ancient monuments around the world, these megalithic structures, we find that many of them are aligned astronomically to the sun, to planets, to stars. Numerous examples can be listed. Stonehenge is essentially an ancient astronomical observatory. Yes, it may have been used for ritualistic purposes. It may have been used for religious purposes, but it's very clear that it was also used for astronomical purposes, for observations.
We're not surprised whether it's Stonehenge, pyramids, or perhaps the Nazca Lines, that ancient people understood events that were going to happen in the sky and when they would repeat.
But why was ancient man so fixated on the sky? And why did they construct elaborate stone monuments and temples in order to track the movements of the stars? Was it simply to help farmers know when to plant their crops? Or might there have been another, perhaps more profound purpose? Could they, as some believe, have been constructed as a type of extraterrestrial GPS system? Nabta Playa, Egypt. 500 miles south of Cairo, in Egypt's Nubian desert, sits one of the oldest astronomical sites ever discovered. In 1974, archaeologist Fred Wendorf almost passed it by before noticing its small stone artifacts and toppled rocks.
It's a very intriguing site. It's just strange stone formations, circles, stone alignments, bizarre tumuli with strange rocks around them.
Later excavations put the date of the astronomical device at approximately 5000 BC, making it close to 1,000 years older than the remarkably similar formation at Stonehenge.
When they brought an astronomer there, they realized that it was a ceremonial site, very intensely astronomical. The intriguing thing about this site is that it shows that they were tracking stars over thousands of years. And to track stars over that period, they must have been aware of what we call precession, which means they weren't simply astronomers or ancient astronomers. They were very sophisticated astronomers.
Could the people who built Nabta Playa 7,000 years ago have possessed an advanced understanding of physics and astronomy, one that rivals or perhaps surpasses our own? And why were they tracking Orion and Sirius? In 1994, the mystery of Nabta Playa took on even greater significance when Robert Bauval announced a surprising discovery along Egypt's Giza Plateau. The Great Pyramid contained 4 long interior shafts. Bauval determined that they were each precisely aligned with specific stars in the sky.
The southern ones aligned to the belt of Orion and Sirius, and the northern ones aligned to the circumpolar stars. Again, this is very intriguing. In terms of construction engineering, that's bullseye. As an engineer, I know that it's one thing building a pyramid, but it's another thing building a pyramid with that kind of precision.
Bauval also proved that the 3 pyramids of Giza were laid out in the precise order and position of the 3 stars of the Orion's belt constellation. But what exactly is the significance of the shaft alignment and the layout of the pyramids themselves?
I mean, we're deciphering a message. The question is whether it is religious or whether it is a stellar message. The fact is that what we have on the ground is an image of a constellation that we know now is the birthplace of stars. Literally, stars are being born in there. And the Egyptians themselves believed that their gods had descended from the stars.
That could be either a knowledge of ancient astronomy, or it could also be a roadmap to where these ETs may have come from.
But why were the ancients so fixated on the Orion and Sirius constellations? Some believe the answer can be found on the other side of the world, in North America. Cholula, Mexico is home to the largest pyramid in the world. More than 3,000 years old, it is estimated that it took approximately 1,400 years to complete.
Even though the Cholula pyramid doesn't look like much because of the overgrown vegetation, it is in fact the world's largest monument ever constructed by human hands. In fact, the volume of the Cholula pyramid, the whole pyramid complex, is 4.45 million cubic meters. The Great Pyramid in Egypt only has 2.5 million cubic meters in volume. So the Great Pyramid at Giza is way taller than the Cholula pyramid, but volume-wise, the Cholula pyramid is by far the largest man-made structure ever created on planet Earth.
Originally built by the Olmecs in the 3rd century BC, the pyramid was later added on to and used by the Toltecs and the Aztecs as a place of religious ritual and human sacrifice. But along with its history of bloodshed, an examination of the pyramid reveals that the ancient cultures of the region had a remarkable understanding of astronomy.
It's interesting to consider what the Aztec people thought about its origins. They did not think it was built by humans like us, which is our theory today. According to the ancient Aztec tradition, the Cholula pyramid was built by a being they called a giant. If you look at the Aztec cosmology, you'll see that these giant beings were identified with different celestial objects. The one in particular that is said to have built the Cholula pyramid is identified with the planet Venus.
Both the Aztecs and the ancient Egyptians charted most of the planets in the solar system thousands of years before European astronomers. But why? And even more compelling is the fact that the two cultures were thousands of miles and half a world apart.
Mainstream archaeologists are telling us that all these civilizations around the world, in the Americas, on remote Pacific islands, in Asia and Africa and Europe, that they're all disconnected with each other, and that there wasn't some contact with South America and Egypt or any of these ancient civilizations. But really, it has to be the other way around. All of these ancient civilizations were connected in some way.
But were these holy sites, as ancient astronaut proponents suggest, really connected to each other? And if so, why? Are they evidence of aliens coming to Earth?
Whoa, I'm getting a series of lights right there. I got it.
These reports that we continue to get from people of ET visitations and craft clearly points out to me that we're being visited, and we have been visited.
Well, there it is, over the left. Wow.
They may have physically left the planet in terms of a civilization, but they're continuing to come back and monitor us for some reason.